because I've had Hashimoto's since like 2005. Turns out you get a second autoimmune condition every 10 years if you don't figure out what's pissing off your immune system. And she gave me a pretty stern talking to, and she said the type of cancer you have, which was squamous cell carcinoma, is actually a very weak cancer, and you can actually address it through alternative methods. And so instead of going the conventional route, I cleared the rest of the cancer by going through 4 months of high dose vitamin C therapy with an IV, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and a therapeutic ketogenic diet, which turns out to be appropriate for my body. That is my metabolic type. And I was cancer-free in February of 2018. So now I am coming up on my 3rd year cancer-free anniversary, and I'm hoping to keep it that way. Lichen sclerosis is in remission. Hashimoto's is in remission. I reversed estrogen dominance and atherosclerosis and lost 70 pounds. And like the list goes on and on and on. I reversed a ton of health issues. And the process that I went through, aside from the clinical treatments, was pretty much the FDN method. And so when I started looking into how to pay this forward and start helping others take control of their health themselves, because we have way more control than we think we do, I stumbled across FDN listening to Reed at, where was I? I was at Paleo FX, and he was doing a presentation. And I am a marketing executive by trade. That's what I do. And so I'm real big into data. And so I was like, whoa, labs, data? Yes, this is perfect. I can actually show people evidence of why I'm making the recommendations I'm making, and they don't just have to go on my word. So that's why I ended up in FDN.
That is an incredible story, Heather. So many people come to FDN because they have their story, but your story is incredible. You guys, everyone that's joining us, this is the first time I've heard Heather share this story. So, that's pretty incredible. And a true testament to really what you can do with natural approaches.
Yeah, in my mind, because a lot of people ask me, how the heck did you decide to just say no to conventional treatment? Because that's what we have, that's what we know. And it was the scariest decision I've ever made. But in my mind, going the conventional route was kind of an easy fix, like a Band-Aid. And that's not how I ended up sick in the first place. I felt like I needed to do the hard work and make all of the changes to be long-term healthy. And that's what I think I've done. So I'm pretty proud of myself.
That's amazing. For everybody that's watching, I would love for you to drop the word coach below this video, and we are going to send you our complete guide to lectures and workshops. This is to help you build your coaching business. So just a great thing for you to have to take a look at to build your coaching business. So make sure to drop the word coach below this video, and you're going to get a copy of that. So Heather, I would love to know, how long did it take you to get through the course? When did you graduate?
Yeah, so I graduated this year. It was June 17th, 2020, I think, is when I graduated. So not long ago. It's been like 4 months. And it took me a little while. I had to get some extensions. One of those procrastinator types. I want to say it took me a year and a couple of months. I think I started in April of last year.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you, and this is where we're really going to talk about that transitioning career part, is how are you building your practice? What is your transition plan look like?
Yeah. So when I got sick with cancer, I decided I needed to dedicate full-time to myself and my healing. And so I actually quit my corporate job. I was very stressful, very high profile corporate job. And I started my own marketing firm. And so I have been doing consulting as a marketer since then. And now I'm trying to transition out of marketing consulting and into health coaching, or nutrition consulting is what I'm calling myself. And the process is interesting. It's never the same every day. I've got some marketing clients that are holding on. They don't want to let go. But I am starting to get a lot of nutrition clients signed on, which is great. So eventually I'm going to have to cut out my marketing clients, whether they like it or not. And we're getting close to that time. So I finished the course, and then I put together my pricing and my packages and figured out what those were going to look like. And the AFDNP, the association that you can join when you graduate from FDN, has been very, very helpful in terms of providing examples and guidance of how other practitioners are putting together their pricing and packages. So that was helpful. Got my website all set up, and then I started to go out to my friends and family. During the course, I actually shared everything that I was learning that I found interesting while I was learning it. And I've been very, very open on social media and with my friends and family and everyone I know about my personal journey. I never thought I would be talking about my private parts out in the open, but that's what my journey looks like. And so I have been very open. And a lot of my friends and family, just because they saw my healing journey, were like in line on a waiting list, ready to go as soon as I was certified and had my packages figured out and was ready to start accepting clients. So if you do decide to go through FDN, that's a huge piece of the puzzle, is sharing while you're educating, kind of that drip campaign. So you're seeding a waiting list while you're going through. That's been extremely helpful. And I found that that was step one, was mining everyone that has already been following me or in touch with me, because I have that level of trust and they have familiarity with my story and how everything that I did to change my life in order to heal my body. So that was step one. That worked out really well. I ended up with a handful of clients there, and I've still got a ton of folks on that waiting list, and we're going through piece by piece. And then I started to reach out to other professionals that were kind of parallel in my space that I know locally. So chiropractors that I've seen myself, my naturopath's office and her contacts, just other holistic practitioners that are kind of run parallel to what we do. And they started to have me put brochures in their offices and mention my services to their clients and customers, their patients. I'm trained myself not to use the word patient, so we're not doctors. And so I started to get referrals from outside sources there. And now I'm starting to actually build my website and my blog more robust and get it listed in Google and search traffic coming in and some social media presence as well. So that's kind of the path I took in terms of how to get clients and how to get things set up.
And what is your goal as far as completing that transition? Do you want to work full-time? Are you going to work in person or virtual? How are you going to work in your practice?
Yeah. So the thing that I love about being self-employed first is that I can put my health first, because through my healing journey, I had to kind of accept that I had contributed in a very major way in terms of myself getting sick. And I kind of had to go through the emotional process of accepting that, acknowledging that, and then forgiving myself and letting go. And so in order to keep those healthy habits that I've established now, I need to make sure that I'm putting myself first, which means I need to be working part-time. Probably not half-time, but definitely part-time. So I'm shooting for probably 25 hours a week is what I would like to be working. And I'd like to be 100% of those 25 hours on health coaching, for sure.
Awesome. And are you going to see people virtually? Is that how you?
Yeah, virtually is what I'm after. I've had a couple of folks locally that have wanted in-person meetings, but that's going to be the exception to what I'm doing. I want to do remote. I'd like to work with anybody, anywhere, and not have location be a barrier.
Do you have a particular niche or client that you want to work with?
Yeah, so I work with a lot of women who look like I did about 5 years ago. A lot of women that are burnt out in high-stress jobs, corporate jobs, women that are dealing with autoimmunity. And I work with a lot of cancer survivors who are looking to avoid recurrence going forward.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about using lab testing and the FDN approach. How has that helped you to solve your clients' issues or even helped you with your own journey?
Sure. So I had gone through most of the types of labs that we talk about in FDN that we go over in my healing journey with my naturopath and my naturopathic oncologist, including the GI map. So we had actually done all of the same tests. And so it was helpful in figuring out where I needed to focus in my own journey. Because when you actually heal yourself of chronic illness, it's kind of a massive troubleshooting project. And so it's really just gather a little bit of data, make changes according to the data, and then gather new data. And it's just kind of an ongoing process. And it can take, a week, or it can take 10, 20 years. It really depends on how the level of dysfunction that has developed in the body. So for me personally, it was extremely helpful in order to kind of cut through the noise and give me a little bit of direction in terms of where I could focus. And I'm finding that to be true for my clients as well. A lot of my clients come in and they're like, I just feel like crap.
Mhm.
Help me. And we go through their very lengthy and intense intake paperwork and we identify areas of target. And you say, well, I see you have headaches. I see you have digestive issues. I see that you're not sleeping very well. So these are on the list of things that we want to hopefully affect positively. And then I put together a lab menu and say, these are the labs that I would recommend so we can start to gather a little bit of data and investigate into what might be causing some of these things to happen or to be coming up for you. And more often than not, when I present the lab work, it's like, okay, I see that we have some adrenal dysfunction. I see that we have some steroid hormone imbalance. And I see that maybe there's a couple of gut bugs that we need to start attacking. And I tell them, so this is what I see. And these are the things that could be a result of these things. Like H.
Mhm.
pylori means that you're probably going to have digestive distress or you're not making enough hydrochloric acid after a while. And so you're not digesting your food. And so the indigestion that you have every night could be a result of the H. pylori. And then we start to attack the H. pylori and get it cleared up because they're like, oh, okay, I have an anchor now. I have something I can tangibly hold on to in terms of where to start actually trying to figure out this big puzzle. Because you start as a big black box. I just don't feel good. But what does that mean? The doctor can't help me. He doesn't know what that means. And so it's been really, really helpful just in terms of finding an anchor and getting started.
Yeah, that's really the thing that I think just sets FDN apart is that we look at things outside of that box and we really explore those risk factors and those hidden stressors and the things that are definitely going on in the body that's causing that metabolic chaos.
Yep. And I find that I'm becoming like the net that catches the things that the doctor didn't catch. Like I had a new client sign up this morning who has PCOS and she's taking thyroid medication. And I asked her, do you know what's going on with your thyroid? Is it low? Is it high? Is it autoimmune? Have you ever been tested for TPO antibodies? Is your immune system attacking it? And she's like, it's hypothyroid. It's low. She's like, but they only test like T3, TSH, and T4. I'm like, well, that's great. Those are your thyroid hormones and your stimulating hormone, but we don't know if the immune system is playing a part here, and it very well could. And so now we're going to go back in and get some additional blood work from her doctor and see if the immune system is part of the puzzle. And that's a very simple thing to catch for some of my clients that come through.
For everybody that is watching right now, I have Heather Cooan on with me today. We're talking about transitioning careers. And if you want to drop the word coach below this video, we are going to send you the complete guide to lectures and workshops to help build your coaching business. So make sure to drop the word coach below. And if you have any questions for us, absolutely drop those below as well. And we will definitely answer those for you. So you talked a little bit about AFDNP, but how has the FDN community supported you in your business and your own health endeavors?
Sure. So I am a member of AFDNP, which is the associate program or membership that you can become a member of once you graduate. And they have been incredible so far. So many resources in terms of continuing education, which is fantastic. The advanced courses are available, but within the membership, we also get reoccurring, they're called them detective hours, which I really love, where they take a case and they dig into the nitty gritty of what showed up on the lab and how the practitioner approached working that person through kind of adjusting based on that data. And then also additional things that they may have missed. Those also tend to be very tough cases that can be a little bit complex. And so the continuing education piece is really, really awesome. And then it's really great to have a group of folks who are like-minded. So if I run into a place where I'm stuck or if something crops up that I'm not familiar with yet, I can actually ask for some help there. That has been invaluable to me. And then, of course, all the additional perks. FDN right now is getting into a lot of associations where we've got additional insurance available for us. We've got additional protections, certifications, board certifications. Like the resources just kind of go on and on and on, and there's new ones coming out every day, which is very cool.
Yeah. I love the continuing education piece. I have really leveled up my career on all of the things that you can get from AFDNP alone.
Yeah.
So Kimberly has a question, and then you and I can kind of expand on this a little bit for her, but she wants to know how often are doctors willing to do additional blood work to help find the root cause? What we use is functional lab testing. So it's different from doing blood work. So Heather, will you expand on really kind of what that approach is?
Yeah, so I lean on a client's doctor if they have a good relationship with their doctor and they're able to ask for additional blood work, simply because a lot of the services that we provide are not covered by insurance. And so it's really a matter of mitigating costs. So if I have a client that's going in to get routine blood work anyway, I may say, hey, can you throw this thyroid panel on your blood work? And so I can't order blood work because I'm not a doctor. What I can do is get you a self kit for you to go get blood work taken and send it in yourself, self-directed labs. And it's actually, most of the time they have no problem. And if a doctor ever says, well, wait a minute, why are we pulling that blood work, or why do you want it? Or if they ever question it, or if they have any kind of resistance, then I just coach my client to ask them to have it documented that they refused to pull the blood work in their file. And the doctor is usually totally fine to pull that blood work, no problem.
Fascinating. That's interesting. So one of the big differences that is between, a doctor's going to draw some blood work, and I'm the same. If I have a client who has a really good relationship with their doctor, I'm going to say, hey, ask them if they'll do this. But we use functional lab ranges. So lab ranges from the lab are very, very wide. They're taken mostly from people who are sick. Your doctor glances at them and says, okay, everything's normal, go home. We use a functional range, which is really, really narrow. And when we look at that, we can catch things a lot sooner than maybe your doctor would. And we don't look at it from that medical perspective. We're looking at it from the risk factor, hidden stressor perspective. We're looking for those kind of hidden things that are going on.
Yeah, and on that point, I actually do run into situations where their doctor will interpret the blood work one way and I will interpret it a different way. And so those conversations have to happen occasionally, and that's exactly what I have to explain to my clients as well. He's looking at it from a perspective, one, based on his clinical experience, and so am I, and the ranges that he has seen and how that affect his client population. And then there's the lab range that's based on a wide range of all the lab work that's ever been taken from that population, from that specific lab. And then I'm looking at it from kind of an early detection type point of view. And so that's why our interpretations are a little bit different. And my clients usually appreciate that extra level of diligence.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then we're going to throw in there the functional lab testing, the things like the hair, urine, saliva, stool, those kind of things that really we can correlate with the blood work and with their symptoms. So it's really looking at things from a much broader kind of perspective.
Yep. And a kind of a holistic, or like overall organism perspective.
That's right. Whole body.
Yep.
Heather, tell people how they can get in touch with you, your website, your social media. How can they find you?
Yeah, the best place to find me is just at heathercooan.com. Last name is spelled Cooan, so heathercooan.com. And all of my socials are linked there, and you can find me basically at Heather Cooan all over the internet. Instagram, Facebook, I'm all over the place, but heathercooan.com is kind of my hub.
Awesome. Before we wrap up, I would love to know, do you have a number one tip, tool, or resource, something that you learned from FDN that's made all the difference in your personal health or your professional health?
Let's see. I think probably the combination of all of the foundational labs that we use as kind of a starting point for investigation has probably been the best piece of advice. It's kind of the number one thing. If I have clients that come in and they want to do piecemeal lab work and only do one or two because of cost or because they don't believe that they'll find anything or whatever it might be, those cases are not as successful as the folks that come in and are willing to do kind of the standard 5 labs or 4 labs now that we recommend just to do a full body investigation. So that process, it really does work.
Do you have a piece of advice you'd like to share with health coaches or professionals that might be watching us?
Yeah, if you're looking to transition careers, don't forget that you don't have to have it perfect to start. You can just get started. You don't have to have a website. You don't have to be like super fancy. You can really start by asking people that you're connected with on Facebook if they want to start to investigate their health and maybe start feeling a little bit better based on what you've learned after you graduate the course. So just get started.
And do you have something that you'd love to share with people who are struggling to get results with their own health?
Don't give up. Don't give up. So I've been working on fixing my body for, it's been years and years and years. I'm working on it for like 10 years. So don't give up. Keep investigating. There's always something new that can be looked at in terms of why you're feeling the way you're feeling. There is a why, because it's not normal not to feel good. So don't ever give up.
Heather, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story. It's incredible. You've been on quite the journey. And if you guys are watching, make sure to drop the word coach, and we are going to send you our complete guide to lectures and workshops. And we will be back next week. Well, I will be back next week, same time, same place, with another awesome guest. Thank you guys for joining us. And thank you, Heather, for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.